Picture this. Your buddy's flexing a brand new BMW M3 on Instagram, but he's still sharing a studio with two roommates. Meanwhile, your other friend just bought her first house. Far from perfect, but it's hers, while driving a 2009 Honda Civic that's older than some of the people watching this video. So here's the question that's been keeping me up at night. Which financial disaster is actually worse, being car poor or house poor? And before you comment, just don't be poor, stick around, because what I found after digging into the data is going to completely flip your understanding of wealth building in America. Hi, I'm Matt. On this channel, I make personal finance real and relatable. From breaking down the biggest wealth traps to smart money strategies, building your first emergency fund, and avoiding financial disasters, I cut through the BS and give you straight talk that actually works. Let's start with facts that'll make your wallet nervous. Right now, 31% of Americans are house poor, spending over 30% of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. But here's the kicker. Almost 50% of renters are drowning in housing costs. Think that's bad? For people making under $30K a year, 83% are house poor. That's basically everyone in that income bracket choosing between rent and literally everything else in life. But car poor Americans? The lowest earners spend 30% of their after-tax income on transportation. And here's the stat that made me spit out my coffee. 10% of drivers spend 30% of their take-home pay just on car payments. Not gas, not insurance, just the monthly payment. Get this, 17% of people have taken second jobs specifically to afford their car payments. Think about that. People are literally working extra jobs to pay for the privilege of driving to their main job. Peak America right there. The regional differences are wild. In New York, 39% of households are house poor, but you can survive without a car. Meanwhile, in rural Iowa, houses cost $294,600, which sounds amazing until you realize you need to drive 45 minutes for decent groceries. It's like the universe is trolling us. Live somewhere affordable and you'll be car poor from all the driving. Live somewhere convenient and you'll be house poor from the rent. Choose your financial poison, I guess. But here's where this story takes a turn that's going to mess with your head. Being house poor and car poor might feel identical day to day. You're stressed, eating ramen, avoiding your bank account, but the long-term consequences? They're in completely different universes. Federal Reserve data time. The average homeowner has a net worth of $255,000. The average renter? $6,300. That's not a typo. Homeowners have 40 times more wealth than renters. Even if you're house poor right now, struggling with that mortgage payment, you're still building wealth every single month. Your stress is actually making you richer. Dr. Jim Dahl, this financial genius, calculated what he calls the car payment trap, the difference between constantly having car payments versus buying used cars and driving them until they die, about $5,000 per year. Invest that $5,000 annually for 40 years at 8% returns, and you end up with $1.3 million. That's right. The difference between being car poor and car smart can literally mean over $1 million in retirement wealth. As Dr. Dahl says, the reason most middle-class folks don't retire as millionaires is sitting in their driveway. How many people do you know worrying about retirement while driving $60,000 trucks that lose thousands the moment they leave the lot? Let me show you what these traps actually look like. If you're house poor, your life is pasta dinners, clipping croutons, stressing about utility bills, but, and this is crucial, you're stressed while sitting in your home, building equity every month. I know a teacher, Sarah, who's house poor, takes 45% of her income. She drives a 12-year-old car, worries constantly about money, but her house just increased in value by $35,000, more than her entire annual savings. Her stress is building wealth. Car poor feels different. You might live comfortably, but 30% of your income vanishes into payments, insurance, maintenance. You feel rich while driving, broke everywhere else. Tyler, a sales guy I know, spends $1,200 monthly on his truck, constantly talks about needing it for his image, but he can't save for a house down payment, can't handle emergencies. That truck preventing him from real success. Here's where American culture gets weird. Cars aren't just transportation, they're rolling advertisements for your success level. Your house might be invisible, but your car? That's what people see at work, school pickup, Starbucks. Social media makes it worse. You can't flex mortgage payments on Instagram, but you sure can post BMW interior shots. Research shows 54% of younger drivers see cars as status symbols versus 39% of older folks. The insane part? 45% of Americans are open to buying cars through social media. TikTok is literally influencing $50,000 purchase decisions based on 30-second videos people watch while scrolling. Getting a car loan versus a mortgage shows how broken the system is. Mortgage applications? Banks want tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements, your firstborn's credit score. They'll only approve payments that don't exceed 28 to 36% of gross income. Car loans? Pure Wild West. Dealers approve you on the spot with minimal verification. They don't care if that $800 payment makes sense. Payment too high? No problem. They'll stretch that loan from 5 years to 8 years, so you pay interest for almost a decade on something worth nothing by payoff. The ease of car financing is exactly what traps people. Walk in with a driver's license, walk out with 7 years of financial stress. But wait, there's a massive plot twist coming. I've been painting car poor as the villain here, and mathematically, it absolutely is. But there's one massive advantage cars have over houses that people in transit-friendly cities never understand. Cars provide something houses can't: access to opportunity. And in most of America, not having a car isn't just inconvenient, it's economic suicide. The job access difference between car owners and transit users is staggering, and it might completely change your perspective on this debate. Because here's what city folks don't get. If you live in Manhattan, being car poor is stupid. Parking costs $5,400 yearly. You can reach anything via transit, walking, or occasional Uber. Housing costs are insane, but you're building equity while saving thousands on transportation. But rural Alabama? Not having a car isn't inconvenient, it's financial death. Median home values around $151,000 sound amazing until you realize you drive 30 minutes to reach a grocery store. Transportation costs might exceed housing costs, but without that car, you literally cannot participate in the economy. The generational split makes this worse. Millennials and Gen Z face $422,000 median home prices, requiring incomes most don't have. Meanwhile, 67% of Gen Z believes in home ownership, but 87% cannot afford it. So what do? Channel their status needs into something achievable: cars. They can't buy houses, so they figure, why save for something impossible? At least I can have a nice car now. Car dealerships exploit this perfectly. They create TikTok content normalizing $800 to $1,000 monthly payments. Young people see this and think everyone has huge car payments. But those same employees probably live with roommates at 30 because their car payment prevents building real wealth. Exit strategy reality. Here's where the math gets brutal. House poor people have actual options. Get roommates to split mortgage costs, rent rooms on Airbnb, refinance if rates drop, access equity through cash-out refinancing. Even selling usually leaves you with something. Car poor people? Options are way more limited. Sell the car, but you're probably underwater on the loan, owing $25,000 on something worth $18,000. Trade down, but negative equity rolls into the new loan, making everything worse. Or stay broke for 6 more years paying off a depreciating asset. The house gives you flexibility because it's an asset. The car traps you because it's a liability disguised as an asset. Your car gets you to work, but your house is your work. Every month of home ownership pays you through equity building and appreciation. Every month of car payments pays someone else for the privilege of owning a depreciating asset. The goal isn't avoiding nice things. It's ensuring nice things don't prevent building real wealth. And in 2025 America, being car poor ranks among the biggest wealth killers out there. But remember that massive advantage I mentioned? The job access difference that completely changes this equation? Because cars provide something houses simply cannot. And this might completely flip your perspective on which trap is actually worse. So which is it? Are you team house poor or car poor? Drop a comment and let me know your current situation, because the surprising answer I'm about to reveal could save you from the biggest financial mistake of your life. So far, I've shown you that mathematically, car poor destroys wealth, while house poor builds it. But there's one massive advantage cars have over houses that could change everything, and it's something people in transit-friendly cities completely miss. Here's the game changer that might flip this entire debate. Cars give you access to opportunity in ways houses simply cannot. Research shows car commuters have 30 times greater job access than people relying on public transit. That's not hyperbole. That's reality in car-dependent America. I learned this lesson hard in college. My friend Marcus had a beat-up Honda he bought for $3,000 with summer job money. I was taking the bus everywhere, determined to avoid car payments. Seemed smart. But Marcus could work evening shifts at restaurants 20 minutes away, earning $12 hourly plus tips. I was stuck at the campus bookstore for $7.25 because it was walkable. By graduation, Marcus had saved enough for a house down payment. I had maybe $2,000 total. His $3,000 car enabled way more earning than my bus pass ever could. Now, before you start thinking I'm about to tell you to go finance a $40,000 SUV because job access, hold up. Because here's where most people completely miss the point and end up in the car poor trap anyway. The Marcus story illustrates something crucial. A $3,000 beater that runs can unlock economic opportunity. But notice what it doesn't say. Marcus didn't buy a $30,000 truck to maximize his job access. He bought the cheapest, reliable transportation possible. This is where America's car culture goes completely off the rails. We've conflated needing transportation with needing a nice car, and the financial services industry is laughing all the way to the bank. Here's the billion-dollar question nobody wants to ask. If cars are necessary for economic survival, why are Americans spending an average of $48,000 on new vehicles? You don't need a $48,000 vehicle for job access. You need a vehicle. Full stop. Think about it this way. If I told you that having a phone was essential for job hunting in 2025, would you immediately finance the latest iPhone 17 Pro for $1,099? Or would you buy a $150 Android that makes calls, sends emails, and runs job apps just fine? Yet somehow with cars, we've normalized the idea that necessary equals expensive and new. It's financial insanity dressed up as practical thinking. Here's the cognitive trap nobody talks about. The psychological distance between I need this and I deserve this is about 3 seconds in a car dealership. You walk in knowing you need transportation. You walk out having justified a luxury purchase as a necessity. Research shows the average American spends just 54 minutes daily commuting. That's less than 4% of your day. But we'll justify spending 30% of our income on that 4% of time because I'm in my car so much. Meanwhile, you spend 33% of your life sleeping, but I bet you're not dropping $3,000 on mattresses every 3 years. The I need it for work justification gets even more absurd when you look at actual job requirements. Unless you're hauling construction equipment or making client-facing sales calls where image genuinely matters, your employer doesn't care what you drive. They care that you show up. I've watched friends convince themselves they need luxury SUVs for their suburban office jobs, as if showing up in a 2015 Camry would get them fired. It wouldn't. Your boss probably wouldn't even notice. But your retirement account definitely notices those missing $850 monthly payments. Here's what makes the car-dependent trap extra vicious. In the exact places where you genuinely need a vehicle, suburban and rural America, you're also surrounded by other people with expensive vehicles. It creates this feedback loop where the necessity becomes indistinguishable from keeping up with neighbors. When I dig into the data on car ownership versus wealth building, something fascinating emerges. The difference between people who treat cars as tools versus status symbols shows up in their net worth decades later, even when they have identical incomes. There's this concept in behavioral economics called hedonic adaptation. Basically, you get used to nice things fast. That new car smell? Gone in 6 weeks. The thrill of the luxury interior, you stop noticing after 3 months. But those payments, those stick around for 84 months, destroying your ability to build actual wealth while you've already stopped appreciating the thing you're paying for. The opportunity access argument is completely valid, but only up to a point. A $5,000 used Corolla unlocks the same job opportunities as a $50,000 truck. Both get you to work, both let you access jobs across a 50-mile radius, both enable economic participation. The difference is that one leaves you with $650 extra monthly to invest in actual wealth building, while the other traps you in payment cycles that prevent you from ever getting ahead. Here's the part that really bothers me. Car companies and dealerships have figured out how to weaponize America's car-dependent geography. They know you need transportation, so they've built entire marketing campaigns around upgrading that need into a want. You deserve it. Treat yourself. You work hard. And it works because, unlike houses, cars are easy to justify as necessities while simultaneously being purchased as luxuries. It's the perfect financial trap disguised as practical thinking. The Marcus story proves cars enable opportunity, but only when purchased wisely. The moment you cross from $3,000 beater that runs to I deserve something nice, you've converted an asset into a liability. You're not buying opportunity anymore. You're buying the appearance of success while destroying actual financial progress. So yes, in car-dependent America, you need a vehicle, but you need transportation, not validation. And confusing those two things might be the single biggest wealth killer for middle-class Americans who wonder why they're not getting ahead despite doing everything right. Here's my final answer, and it might shock you. In today's economy, you're more likely to become house poor, but being car poor is definitively worse. Why you're more likely to become house poor? Housing costs have gotten so insane they're pushing people into house poor territory through no fault of their own. In most American cities, you almost have to be house poor for the first few years. It's become the price of admission to wealth building. Why being car poor is worse? It's usually a choice, and it's a choice that destroys wealth instead of building it. If forced to choose between being house poor or car poor, and unfortunately many Americans must choose, I'd pick house poor every time. The strategy? Buy the smallest, most modest house you can tolerate in the best location you can barely afford. Yes, you'll stress about money for several years. Yes, you'll eat lots of ramen, but you'll build equity monthly and set up long-term wealth. Then drive the most reliable used car your ego can handle. 5 to 7-year-old Honda Civic, Toyota Camry, Nissan Sentra. Buy with cash if possible, or put down 20% and pay off aggressively. Your coworkers might not be impressed, but your future millionaire self will thank you. If you're currently car poor and want out, step 1, calculate your total monthly car costs. Payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, everything. That number is probably higher than you think. Step 2, look up your car's current value on KBB or Edmunds. If you owe way more than it's worth, you might be temporarily stuck. But if you're close to break even, consider selling and buying something cheaper with cash. Step 3, if you cannot escape the payment right now, at least stop this cycle. When this car is paid off, drive it until it dies instead of trading for something newer. Step 4, calculate what you'll save without car payments and set up automatic investing. That $600 monthly payment invested at 8% for 30 years becomes $734,000. If you're house poor and need relief, get roommates. I know privacy suffers, but splitting your mortgage can completely change your financial situation. Refinance strategically, especially if rates have dropped since you bought. Side hustle specifically for housing. Drive for Uber, freelance, whatever. Use that extra income to pay down the mortgage faster or build emergency funds. Consider geographic arbitrage. If you can work remotely, move somewhere with lower housing costs while keeping your salary. I see people my age driving $50,000 trucks while complaining they can't afford houses. They've got it completely backwards. The right sequence. Buy the house first, even if it makes you house poor temporarily. Drive the reliable used car, build your wealth, then buy whatever car makes you happy. The American dream isn't about having the newest car. It's about building wealth that gives you real freedom. The key is distinguishing between transportation, necessity, and status symbol purchasing. This comes down to understanding the difference between assets that make you money and liabilities that cost you money. Your house usually appreciates, builds equity, provides tax advantages, can generate rental income, gives you options. Your car always depreciates, costs money monthly, provides no tax advantages, generates no income, and limits your options. Choose assets over liabilities. Choose wealth building over status symbols. All right, here's my challenge for you. In the comments, tell me which camp you're in right now. Are you house poor, car poor, both, or neither? And more importantly, what's your plan to change your situation? I read every comment, and I want to know if this changed your perspective on cars versus houses. Did any of this surprise you? Are you ready to choose wealth building over status symbols? Every financial decision you make today is either helping or hurting your future self. That $800 car payment might feel good now, but your 65-year-old self who can't retire is going to have words with you. Meanwhile, that 30-year-old you who's house poor and stressed, your 50-year-old self with a paid-off house and massive equity is going to thank you for enduring those ramen years. Choose temporary stress that builds wealth over temporary comfort that destroys it. If this video helped you think differently about money, smash that like button and subscribe for more content that'll help you avoid financial disasters. Your future millionaire self is counting on you making the right choice. Remember, drive old, buy real estate, and build wealth like your future depends on it, because it absolutely does.